If you're thinking of buying or selling a home or moving to Brooksville, Florida, then you need to watch this video because I'm going to break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of what it's like to live in Brooksville, Florida, and give you a complete overview of the pros and cons. And even if you've seen my last video that I recorded last year, I've updated it for 2025 with some new stuff, so you're going to want to stick around to the end because I've been a resident of Brooksville for 5 years and I'm going to give you my input as well. So without further ado, let's dive right on in. Alright guys, so like I said, I've been a resident of Brooksville now for the last 5 years after living in Spring Hill before that for 15 years. And since we've been in Brooksville, we've really immersed ourselves in everything that it has to offer, and we absolutely love it. But nowhere is perfect, of course, and so it wouldn't be fair to just present it with the rose-tinted spectacles. I want to make sure I give a complete overview to give you not only the pros, but also the cons of living there, so you can make the best informed decision for yourself. So buckle up, here we go, and we're going to dive right in with the pros of living in Brooksville, Florida. Now, number one for the pros of living in Brooksville is going to be just the historic nature of it. Florida in general has kind of a very new and kind of not very unique feel to it, and the old historic places are difficult to find unless you kind of seek them out on the map, and Brooksville really is a hidden gem when it comes to this. It was formed back in the mid to late 1800s. A lot of the streets there still are lined with the bricks, and they have those hanging live oak trees with the moss on them. Many of the homes are actually over 100 years old in the downtown Brooksville section. So really a lot of history in that town or city. Not only that, but it was a very, very important focal point of the Civil War in America. So a lot of history wrapped up in this place, and you can kind of feel it when you walk around. It really gives a very distinct, very unique feel. It's one of the reasons that I love living in Brooksville. As you might be able to tell, I'm from the UK, and so a lot of the places that I lived over there had that very historic, it was steeped in history, the buildings, the oldness of it all. And so I'm really loving that part of living in Florida and having somewhere where I can kind of feel at home, as it were, with those unique characteristics. You know, when Christmas comes around and we do the walk down South Brooksville Ave, where they do the candle lighting ceremonies and all of the neighbors are out giving out hot cocoa and marshmallows, and there's performances and stuff, and they have the snow machine out there. It's really just like a time capsule. It's so cool. If you haven't experienced it, go just to experience it. I guarantee you're gonna love it. Now, pro number two, which kind of follows on from this, because it is an older town or city, it has that focal area downtown. So the courthouse is without a doubt the main focal point. However, as you expand out from there in a couple of block radius, you have this whole walkable area down there. So you have restaurants, spas, you have breweries, you have a record store, clothing store, you have other kind of unique things as well. So as Brooksville becomes more and more a place on the map locally, more and more stores are coming in there. And that's really one of the most exciting things that I've seen over the last 18 months or so since I made the last video, is that the number of stores and places to visit down in downtown Brooksville have really kind of grown pretty drastically, and it really just adds to the charm factor that's in there. So for a lot of stuff, there's really no need to go into Spring Hill anymore. You have your salons, you have your spas, massage places, you have your gym downtown, you have the restaurants and bars and breweries, ice cream places, Biggest Loser nutritional place, and everything in between. There's event spaces down there as well. So really downtown Brooksville is starting to house a lot of the things that you would really need right in the downtown area. And like I said, it's really cool to be able to go get an appetizer at one place and then hop across and have a drink at one of the breweries and then go on and get dinner somewhere else before you go and get ice cream from the ice cream bar. So I really love that. Again, it's something that I was very used to in the UK, where you would park your car up in the high street and then walk around for a couple of hours. But again, in other areas of Florida, it's mainly kind of strip mall after strip mall after strip mall. Brooksville's really bucking that trend, and it's a fantastic little walkable downtown. Number three for the pros is going to be kind of the state parks and then the city parks. There's really a lot to do with the outdoor activities. So I'm thinking Tom Varn Park just up the road from us, where they've just finished a brand new splash pad, which is an awesome addition for the kids. There's the library park right around the corner from us on Fort Dade, which is where they do Friday Night Live. They have the bandstand there where they have bands and live music. They have local vendors and food trucks, and it's just an awesome all-round experience there. Then of course you have the state parks as well. So Withlacoochee State Forest is just down the road. You can do horseback riding, hiking, fishing, camping. There's ATV courses there as well. So if you're an outdoor enthusiast, you're really going to find a lot of stuff on your doorstep in the Brooksville area. And again, that's one of the things I love about being here, because you can be outside 12 months of the year and enjoy those things. Number 4 for the pros is going to be just the sheer variety of homes that it has in the area. So you can have mobile and manufactured homes. There's plenty of those. You can have single family homes. You can have villa homes. There are some condos around as well as some kind of townhomes. You can have homes in golf course communities, in HOA areas. You can be on acreage. You can be in non-restricted areas. You can be in the historic district. There's all sorts of homes across all sorts of price points, and it really makes it achievable and reachable for just about anybody if you love the area. Now, I've got plenty of videos on the channel about the best places to live, certain community tours looking at new construction, so be sure to check those out. As you may know by now, I'm a real estate expert in the area, so if you want to snag a list of homes that might fit your criteria, leave a comment below and let me know what you're looking for, and I will send those over to you. I respond to all of the comments in person. There's no AI, there's no assistance, all me. And while we're talking about housing, Brooksville's remained relatively affordable compared to a lot of the other Tampa suburbs around it. Now, I'm certainly not going to say we didn't see home price appreciation during the COVID years, but certainly not at the rate of some of the other areas. And to put it into some perspective, according to Best Places, I have the information here, it's 7.7% under the national average and almost 14% under the Florida average for home prices. So definitely more affordable. And then while we're on the topic of cost of living, why not talk about the actual average cost of living being 7% under the national average again? So all in all, a relatively affordable place to live compared to a lot of the other suburbs north of Tampa. Again, it's one of the reasons why I love it and why it's growing in popularity. Now, moving on to some of the other pros, and I've already alluded to some of these, but there's always something to do in Brooksville, which I know might sound kind of obvious to some people, but coming from Spring Hill, that wasn't necessarily the case over there. And all right on the doorstep within that tiny little downtown area as well. So, there's concerts at the Florida Cracker Kitchen. There's Friday Night Live, like I already said, at the Library Park. There's Brooksville Bites Nights on South Brooksville Ave, where again, they have food trucks and vendors out there. We have the Watermelon Festival there as well. There's always something going on downtown that kind of attracts people in. There's the Fancy Flea. There was Brooksville this year. So be on the lookout for the events in downtown Brooksville. They draw a large crowd, obviously, because they're kind of cool and kitschy. But again, it's one of the things that I love is being able to just walk from the house to these events with the kids, experience something, keep us occupied. And again, it's a lot of variety in there as well. So the events in Brooksville are something that we've really loved and really embraced. So one other pro that I haven't mentioned, which I think bears mentioning, is the great location. And I mean this in a couple of different ways. So first of all, it's in Florida. So we live where people vacation. It really takes some beating in January and February to be walking around in short sleeve shirts while the weather's pretty mild and temperate. That's really cool. But also the location of Brooksville itself. So it's only about 15-20 miles in from the Gulf. So you're right on the doorstep of a whole host of water activities on Hernando Beach or further south. You're really close to I-75. So it's really good access north to Ocala or some of the areas north of that, as well as getting south down to Tampa. But also only about an hour and 20 minutes west of Orlando. Orlando is the vacation capital of the world, I feel like. So to have Disney and all of the other stuff right on the doorstep there is a huge selling point as well. But like I said, despite all of that, it still maintains its small city, small town charm. So love the location. It's very easy access. One of the benefits of living there, one of the things that drew us there. Hey guys, what's going on? Ross Hardy from the Hardy team at Remax and the Living in Spring Hill, Florida channel. And if this is your first time on the channel, I would like you to please like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it, but more importantly, subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way, whenever we release a video about any of the videos in the North Tampa suburbs like Spring Hill, Brooksville, Wesley Chapel, and Trinity, you'll be the first to know. And we're also doing a whole bunch of videos on new home tours as well as some older home tours as well. Basically everything you would need to know to make a decision about living in a certain area. So whether you're 9 days or 99 days away from moving, please reach out to us with any questions that you have. We're real estate nerds on the team here, and like I said, I respond to all of the comments myself personally, or you can call or text the phone number. You can shoot us an email. We love hearing from folks like you on the YouTube channel. We get a bunch of inquiries every single week, and you guys are my favorite people to talk to. Anyway, for now, we're gonna go into the cons and give you the flip side of the coin and break down some of the ugly things about Brooksville. Now, number one, when it comes to the cons of Brooksville, and something that many people don't factor in when they're planning on moving here, is that it does have a city tax if you are within the city limits. So property taxes in Florida may be a little lower than where you're used to from where you're coming from. However, if you are within the city limits, your property taxes are going to be about 25 to 30% higher than they would be for a comparable home in Spring Hill or outside of the Brooksville city limits. So it's really, really important to factor that in when you're considering a budget for purchasing a property, because all of a sudden what you think might be $4,000 a year in property taxes could easily be $5,500 and an extra $100 or $200 per month. And like I said, if you have any questions about any of that, you can always reach out to us, but it's one thing that most people don't know when they're looking to move to Brooksville. Number two is going to be the lack of stores. And like I said, there is a lot of development going on in Brooksville, and I've loved the redevelopment of the old Jennings building. It's so awesome to see that occupied after all this time. The Pearl Porch Boutique has moved in there, a great local staple and a fantastic location for them. And with all of the other new stores like the record store and the clothing store going in, it is getting more bustling downtown, but it's not a hub of shopping by any stretch. So if you want to go to retail stores, for example, you're going to be making a trip down south to Wesley Chapel. Now, while that's a pretty easy commute down I-75, and we go over to Wesley Chapel a bunch with the family, some people might want those things closer on their doorstep. So I do want to mention that although there is an increasing number of stores and little boutique-y places in downtown Brooksville, the major department stores or retail stores that you're looking for may be further afield that you have to travel for. Now, con number three is going to be the job prospects. Brooksville is not exactly thriving when it comes to job opportunities, so you're probably going to want to get something lined up before you come down here. Now, there are some great resources online, so ZipRecruiter and Indeed are two of them where you can see what sort of job opportunities there are in Brooksville, but it might be worth noting that some people have traveled further south to find great job opportunities. And because we are closer to I-75 or to the Suncoast Parkway, that access down south to some of those other areas is pretty easy, but certainly in Brooksville, you might be struggling to find job opportunities that might fit what you're looking for. Now, con number four, and although I've not experienced this myself, I do want to mention it because other people have mentioned it to me, is that Brooksville, because it has that old town feel to it, can feel a little cliquey to some people. You know, a lot of the families in our neighborhoods have been there for generation after generation after generation, and a lot of the streets around us are named after these families. So, you know, us moving there as an outsider, not only from Spring Hill, but from the UK, I was expecting maybe to feel some of that, what people were talking about, but I have to tell you, our neighbors have been nothing but southern charm polite to us. So I don't get that. People have mentioned it to me, so I did want to mention it to you. I'm sure some people have experienced that, but certainly Brooksville has that old town feel. A lot of the people went to school there, grew up there, and are working there now. Their kids go to the same school, so it's very much that familiar feel. Some people might feel like outsiders. And then another con might be that people might think the pace of life is a little bit too slow in Brooksville. So the average median age of someone in Brooksville is one of the highest for any of the suburbs around. It's higher than Wesley Chapel, Trinity, Lutz, Land O'Lakes, even Spring Hill. So yeah, people might feel that pace of life is too slow. I come from the southwest of England in Devon, where it was very, very rural and the pace of life was pretty slow there. So I'm very much accustomed to it. And at this point in my life, with the kids at the age they are for us, it suits our life perfectly. But certainly if you're looking for nightlife and vibrancy, there are some bars that stay open later, but you're not going to find clubs or anything like that in Brooksville. So maybe some other areas might be worth considering for you if that's important to you. Now, another potential con of living in Brooksville is the potential for flooding. And this has really come to light after the storms at the back end of 2024, Milton and Helene. So although the coastal areas were the ones that were devastated pretty badly, so basically Hernando Beach down south through Palm Harbor, Tarpon Springs, all through to Tampa Bay and down into Sarasota, what we did see that was an unexpected result of the storms was the rivers burst their banks and flooded areas out to the east of Brooksville in Hillendale. And I'm talking about 6 feet of flooding. Now, it's something that we thought probably wouldn't happen in this area, but we've seen now that it can, and what that means is likely it's going to happen again at some point. So again, I always mention in all the videos, hurricanes are a thing in Florida. You need to be comfortable with them and realize the possibility of it happening. But like I said, what people weren't prepared for was the river bursting the banks and flooding areas way inland over to the east. So worth considering if you're out there. There's a potential for that. It's the first time it's happened in the 20 years that I've been here, and I hope it's much, much longer before it happens again. But I do want to give you a balanced view of it all. Now, another potential con of living in Brooksville, Florida might be the schools. The schools are certainly, again, a lower grade than a lot of the suburbs around it. So Wesley Chapel in particular, as well as Odessa, are renowned for fantastic schools, and even Lutz and Land O'Lakes are predominantly A-grade schools. However, Brooksville is going to be very much on that B-C borderline, and while we didn't have any problems with the kids going through school, we actually went to one of the magnet schools and then went into Gulf Coast Academy over in Spring Hill. Certainly the public schools are taking a little catching up. Now, the grades are improving, and I know plenty of kids who have been through them who have had a great experience. It's just they're not quite as good as some of the other suburbs. Now, one thing you might want to look at is the private options, and a bunch of the kids in our neighborhood went to the Methodist school. There's some great resources online, such as Great Schools and Niche, if you want to learn more about the schools. But certainly they're not going to be quite on a par with some of the other suburbs, and I want to make that clear to people. And then the final con I'm going to bring up here is the overdevelopment, or the perceived overdevelopment of Brooksville. Now, Brooksville itself in downtown has kind of maintained a lot of its historic charm. There hasn't been a whole bunch of stuff going on. But as Spring Hill and Brooksville become more and more popular and people are searching for less expensive homes, so the demand increases. And there's 2 very big developments which are happening locally in the area, which are potentially going to change the landscape of how Brooksville looks to a certain degree. The first one is that Metro Places are looking to build a lagoon community right out at the intersection of I-75 and State Road 50. Now, if you've seen any of these lagoon communities, they are absolutely spectacular, no doubt. However, it's very much a far cry from the rural country charm that Brooksville exudes. And my concerns are a little bit less with that, because it's certainly far enough outside of downtown Brooksville that I don't think it's going to make a massive difference to how downtown Brooksville feels and operates. But one of the interesting developments over the last couple of days is that Metro Places is also looking to build about 900 homes out by Brooksville Country Club, by Croom, out in that area. Now, the development's been approved since 2005, but they've been gone through a whole bunch of revisions in that time, and it looks like they've finally settled on what they want to do. And 900 homes that close to downtown Brooksville certainly would make an impact. And I'm kind of torn as a real estate agent, right? Because there's a lot of opportunity for me when something like that happens. However, one of the big reasons I moved to Brooksville is because it has that very small town charm. There's only about 8,000 residents there, so that's potentially increasing the population by about 10% overnight in one fell swoop. So a lot of people are not happy about that locally. There's sure to be some contesting of it, but there is some development coming, and I'm sure it's only going to get worse. Okay guys, so that's going to do it for the pros and cons of living in Brooksville, Florida, and I hope you found that useful and balanced. Please be sure to leave me a comment below, let me know what you think, and like the video. And then, like I said, and be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. That way you'll be kept up to date about all the videos we make about not only Brooksville, but Spring Hill, Wesley Chapel, and the suburbs north of Tampa. And one final plug for my real estate business to say, if you're looking to make a move in 9 days or 99 days, reach out to us. We can not only answer any questions you have about the area and give you a whole bunch of information about it, we can also send you a list of free homes that you might find interesting in the areas and price points at which you might be looking, and give you more of an idea as to some of the areas that we might recommend based on specific criteria that you have. So be sure to give us a call, give us a text message. You can send us an email, hop on a Zoom, however you want to do it. Like I said, you guys are our favorite people to speak to. We get tons of inquiries every single week. I want to thank you for watching the video. Be sure to watch a bunch of the other videos on the channel and give us your feedback. Until next time, I'm Ross Hardy from the Hardy team. It's time to love where you live.